My name is Renata, and I am going to be taping this on my iPhone because I cannot figure out how to screen record my computer and also get audio with it. So, my first slide is Malcolm Little and what makes him the hero in X, a novel. Sorry, I have to physically touch these. Malcolm grows up trying to find a hero, but he ends up becoming his own hero. He searches for a hero when he's growing up, and he loses his father. That was pretty hard on him because his father was their caretaker, and after his father's death, it leaves him and his brother to kind of take care of the family and take care of his mom, and his mom tries his best to take care of them, but it's not always the greatest. He doesn't realize that he is the hero at times, so he might not think that he's the hero growing up, like when he steals melons and gets caught, and when he tries to steal the chickens for his family, which ends up in a bad situation for him, and after a lot of hardships in his life, he can later be identified as a hero in his own eyes and in other people's eyes because of the actions that he's done to further his life and make himself something, if that makes sense. Um, what I mean by something is make him into what he is today and why he is famous and why everyone knows him today. Malcolm grew up poor in foster care and had lots of siblings. Malcolm Little grew up poor after his father's death because, like I stated earlier, his father was the caretaker and he made the money. And Malcolm was one of 10 siblings in his family. And later, the state and the government were always trying to get them separated and taken into foster care. And eventually, they were all taken into foster care, and Malcolm was the only one who was taken into a home by himself. The other siblings were all paired or went into, groups of them went to a certain home. None of them were ever separated like Malcolm was. He did get into quite a bit of trouble growing up. He, like I said earlier, he was stealing the chickens and he actually got arrested, which caused him to be the first to be placed in foster care by himself. Malcolm moved to Boston later in his life and he got mixed in with the wrong crowds. Malcolm moved to Boston later in life and he got mixed in with wrong crowds. He started to work at this place for with these people that he met in Boston when he was first there, and he was selling. Well, it was supposed to be. He stood in the bathroom and gave people towels and things to dry their hands off, and then the guy suggested to him that he go and buy some rubbers, which are condoms, to sell to the customers, and then later he actually was told to also try to sell like pot. They call it reefer in the book. So yeah, he tried, but he got mixed in with the wrong crowds. Let's see if I can press the button. My thesis statement is Malcolm Little, parentheses X, because it's Malcolm X, is the hero because he tried to help his family when they were in need, moved away to have a better future, and learned from his mistakes to later become one of the greatest civil rights characters in the United States. So I think that's basically my intro. So growing up, Malcolm tried to help out his family in any way he could. He set up traps by the river and later sold those animals to the white folks in his town because his family did not eat certain meat and animals. And he, after selling the animals, the money that he got from it, he actually went down to this like local bakery and they sold them day old bread and he would bring it home to his family, and that's what they would eat with. Sometimes they would eat like dandelion greens and stuff, and that was their meals for those days. And he tried to steal melons from this lady in their neighborhood, and then they got caught, and that didn't end well because it ended up causing his mother to lose her job. Sorry. He also tried to steal chickens, which ended up getting him arrested, and that caused him to be placed in foster care. The rest of his siblings stayed with their mother, but Malcolm had the most trouble and was most troubled with within all his siblings, so that's why they moved him first. This is just a picture. Sorry if there's a lot of background noise. This was Lansing, Michigan in the 1930s. Malcolm Little's mother had kept jobs because they thought she was white due to her light complexion. So the little sign, the picture, says we want white tenants in our white community. So it's just, a lot of it back then was a lot of racial stuff. Again, I apologize for any background noise. Malcolm moved to Boston seeking a brighter future. He moved in with his half-sister Ella. She actually went over there and brought him to Boston because of Malcolm's actions, and he was about to go to juvie and this and that, and he didn't want to be known for being his dad's son. That's a little bit confusing. I'm sorry to word it like that, but basically it's because of their race, and he was his dad's son, so they would always be after him and this and that. That's how Malcolm explained it. He started getting to bad jobs, like I explained earlier. He was selling dope and selling condoms in the bathroom, and that was that can get you into a lot of trouble. And he met a couple girls at one of these places that he used to go to, and some of them were kind of troubled. Later on, he moved in with his friend Shorty, whose name was also Malcolm. This is just a picture of Boston in the 1940s that I found because I talked about the dancing, and Malcolm attended certain parties where he met a few girls and danced with them, who later became romantic interests to him, and then later became troublesome for him. Okay, press the button. Malcolm made several wrongs that later ended him up in prison. Malcolm was mixed into the wrong crowds from the minute he moved to Boston. Because he tried this game out and they hustled him, and then he wanted to learn how to hustle people, so he got into that, and he had jobs that had to support his ways of living. Example, selling pot and condoms, shoe shining, and other few things. The shoe shining and the handing out the towels in the bathroom were not bad, but they ended up he ended up selling pot and condoms in those bathrooms too, so he got mixed into wrong things, but he just had to find ways of supporting himself because he lived on his own with his friend. Some of the girls he got mixed up with, especially one of them, she later is what caused him to end up being in prison because they were caught stealing. Both him and his friend were. This is Malcolm X's mugshot when he was arrested for larceny in 1946. Why Malcolm is the hero. Malcolm is the hero because he faced his own hardships to become what he is today. Joseph Campbell had a system of recognizing the hero in every story. That is, he had this system of it was just this go-to, it was like a never-ending circle because later on it just, But contemporary mythological scholars Eva Thury and Margaret Devaney describe Campbell's view of the hero like this. We are all heroes struggling to accomplish our adventure. As human beings, we engage in a series to find our place in society. Beyond that, we live for wisdom. We want to understand the universe and our role in it. So I put that in there because it reminds me of Malcolm facing his hardships and trying to figure out what he's doing and what he wants in life, and eventually after he comes out of prison, he fights for his rights as a Muslim and a black Muslim in America. Malcolm was his family's, his own selves, and black civil rights hero. He was there and tried to be there for his family growing up. Of course, like I stated before, he stole the melons. They set the traps. He tried to be there for his family as much as he could. He tried making a living for himself in Boston. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was not. The jobs he chose sometimes were not okay, but he had to make a living. Later, he became a famous black civil rights fighter. He was a very big civil rights activist, and especially for the Muslim faith and their civil rights they wanted. Malcolm X is a hero because he helped his family when they were in need. He moved to better his life and suffered through his hard times to become a civil rights activist. This is just Malcolm and his accomplishments. Malcolm became the leader of the Black Panther Party, fighting for his rights as a black Muslim. And that's my works cited. Thank you.